precise answer. Yeah.
I can answer that question for him.
Oh,
In the
Jerry.
paper that says that the people in office didn't get a raise this year, but their aides got a raise instead.
Well, that varies from office to office. Some may have, some may not have. Some people in my office did not get raises. Some of the I'll say the lower paid staff, some of them did, but not the higher paid.
But the ones that needed the most are the seniors.
Yeah, but the truth is not many. I would say that I would say to you that at least on the congressional side, members of Congress did not get a raise.
One of the greatest difficulties with Social Security is that so much of the money is being taken out of the Social Security fund that it has nothing to do with Social Security. And so it's reducing what we all put in for our health.
Yeah, it's a pay-as-you-go system. So the
I
question,
went until I was
Yeah.
70. I worked until I was 70.
yeah, it's a pay-as-you-go system. And you know, interestingly enough, back in 1983 was the last great reform of Social Security. President Reagan and Tip O'Neill, made an agreement back then. There was a guy who wasn't so well known at the time who was in charge of that Social Security Commission named Alan Greenspan. He was chairman of that commission prior to his becoming chair of the Federal Reserve. And he basically, they enacted their reforms, and they said at that time that these reforms should take us to about the year 2020. And what they meant was that the system should run surpluses until about that time. And until this year, it seemed that they were on track. The actuaries were saying we were going to run surpluses until about 2017 or 2018. Now with this recession, something's happening this year with Social Security. There aren't going to be any Social Security surpluses to raid because we're running a deficit.
No, there's going to be negatives because
That's correct. We're running a deficit, but on a year-to-year basis, we were running surpluses.
And the money is still taken out this year.
Often, and well, this year there's a deficit in Social Security, so there's not going to be much to take. And I would tell you that in answer to the question, it's Social Security, Medicare, Medicaid. There are three major entitlement programs in this country. Particularly Medicare and Medicaid are growing at a rate that I think everybody would acknowledge is unsustainable. The President says it, the CBO says it, the Republicans say it, everybody agrees it's growing at an unsustainable rate. Now Medicare, and I think we're spending somewhere around $400 billion per year today on Medicare. Medicare's growth rate probably represents a greater long-term challenge to the country. But what I want to tell you too is that my fear right now is what just happened with the health care law. The way it's financed, you take over $500 billion in new taxes and nearly $500 billion in Medicare cuts. Cut Medicare to create the new entitlement program for people who are not over 65. Now Medicare is going to go broke probably in less than 10 years. Going broke. So taking $500 billion out of it to create a new entitlement program will further compound the problems of the Medicare program. And that's what we're dealing with right now. Medicare cuts that were enacted in the recent health care law. If you're a Medicare Advantage, you get cut. 1 in 5 seniors in this district is on Medicare Advantage. We have a lot of seniors here too. Hospital reimbursements are cut. And you can go down the list of where they're taking the money about. Skilled care and home health care, where they're taking the money out of Medicare. This is a big problem. So, fair comment, but the truth is, entitlement reform is something that cannot be ignored much longer. We need to make sure that Social Security is there for you, and it will be there for you. I mean, if I always say, if you're over 55, this issue I don't think is going to affect you as much in terms of you'll be protected. It's a big issue for us going forward on Social Security reform is how are we going to make sure the program is there, safe, sound, strong for your children and your grandchildren. That's what we're going to have to really work on. And I think the good news is I think a lot of our children and grandchildren understand the problem. They understand the demographic realities of about 3 workers per retiree. And that number has been shrinking. It will go down even further, probably approaching 2 workers per retiree But again, this is